Have you started it?
Yes, Tom. Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. Tom's a moron. And welcome, everybody. So, joining me, as always, is my co host, Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
There you go. Tom, who made us late tonight. Yes, this is all his fault. So, please lambast him accordingly.
Yep.
Also
Always.
joining us tonight is Paul. He's back on the show. Our number one guest. What's up, brother?
Woo! What's up, nerds? Number 12. Next one's a baker's dozen.
That's right. Next one is we'll have to talk. We'll have to somehow organize it that the next time you come on, we talk Skaven. As that would be your 13th appearance. That would only be apropos.
Absolutely.
There you go. Okay. So, let's. What happened?
I'm here.
I'm
Still
here.
good. Okay.
Something wrong?
Nope, it's fine. It's still working. Okay. It was weird for a moment. It didn't update for a second. All right, we're good. We're good. Everything's good. We're good.
We're fine. Everything's
Okay.
fine.
Everything's fine here. We're all good now.
All right. So, we're going to talk Broken Realms tonight. We're going to get deep into the prediction speculation. We're gonna strap on our tinfoil hats. It's going to be time to do some predictions. But of course, first, we start off the show with some news. All right. So, Tom, what do we got, buddy? Tom has not looked at the news before this exact second. I want you to know that. I prepared this news an hour and a half ago. Tom forgot. I guarantee you he just remembered he was supposed to look at this and is looking right now.
Rumor engine. I just said it.
As I've said before, the reason I put the rumor engine to the top of every news thing is so Tom can say it without knowing it's a thing, and then he can go actually read the news that I've put together.
And I am so prepared.
I just have to say right now, I am loving the direction this episode is going in.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is what we're at tonight. This is where we're at. All right. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about that rumor engine. Big giant club with spiky bits. Very much like the Ogre Hunter Club. That's actually quite what it looks like. I hope that this is some other, like, we did just get a new plastic Ogre Hunter. Obviously in the crap. What am I trying to say? The Underworld's warband. There we go. Okay. I suppose it wouldn't be out of the question to get some kind of ogre in a Warcry warband, in the same way that we got those new sort of dark elf type of models, or Daughters of Cain models, or whatever you want to call them. The Umbraneth, since that was the leaked name for them.
I mean, do you really think this is ogres?
I will say it is a very ogre-looking club, and it wouldn't be, what I'm pointing out is that it's not beyond the pale that we would get an ogre warband and get some new sculpts.
I think the answer is much, much more obvious.
Okay, I'm ready. What do you got?
Vampirates?
Yeah.
It's always.
Yes. No. Yes, it is vampirates.
I'm ready.
It's part of the zombie unit.
Okay.
And it's a zombified ogre.
Okay, got it. So zombie ogres. That's what you're.
Well, like, no. I mean, clearly this has to come from like the mixed zombie unit. Mm-hmm. And so, like, think about how they've been doing the Warcry warbands, where they have like one, like
mixed. Yeah, sure. There's like a single ogre in the Iron guys. Yeah.
Yep. And so basically, we're gonna get the same thing for zombies, and you're gonna get a mixed collection. Most of them will all be like normal, like humans and elves and dwarf zombies. But you know what? There's like a 1 in 10 ogres in the zombie unit. There we go. That's what it is.
Sure. All right.
Feel super confident about that.
You know, being that you've predicted, which is going to tie into a separate news item later, but being that you've predicted vampirates for every single thing ever.
Hey, like, I'm just doubling down.
I understand. 6 months of these predictions. I can't wait to see what actually is and isn't. We're all wondering. Paul, you got any other thoughts? Anything else?
I'm going to say I feel like it's something not directly AOS.
Okay.
Like it's just my general feel, whether it's something for Warcry, for Underworlds. The thing that for some reason came to mind was Blood Bowl.
Okay.
Like Blood Bowl's been a thing lately.
Yep.
So usually those guys don't carry around weapons, but I don't know. Blood Bowl's full of weird stuff. So yeah, that's my guess. Is Blood Bowl ogre?
Okay. Well, time will tell. As with always, this is one of those very frustrating but wonderful rumor engines that you know exactly what it is, right? Like
Yep.
sometimes
Yeah.
we get the rumor engines where you're like, I have no idea what I'm even looking at here. Uh, this is a this is a rumor engine where you're looking at it going, well, I know exactly what it is, and it tells me nothing. It's a
They seem to
club.
be getting better at those. They like to throw those out at us.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right. Cool beans. What's next?
Pre-release, Broken Realms, like all the Broken Realm things.
Yes. Which I love that came out. So we got the announcement on Sunday, obviously, that Broken Realms is
Yep.
going to be going on pre-release this Saturday, which is great. I also love that we spent a good 5 minutes. It seemed like a million minutes last show with you struggling over predicting the exact release date of these for them to just go, it's now. It now is the release date. So that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy about it. I'm happy I was dead on with the boxes.
Sure, yes. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about what all we know. So we've
Yep.
got, obviously, Broken Realms, the Marathi book itself goes on pre-order this week, as does Shadow and Pain, or whatever the heck it's called, the Slanesh Doc box, which is great.
Yep.
And then, yes, you're right. We're getting new, quote-unquote, did somebody say no apron? No, I absolutely have an apron. I have my apron on, as always. The all of the boxes that we saw in those pictures that you said are going to be getting started boxes, we're getting started boxes. We have seen prices for them. It's basically exactly what we would expect. Most of them are $90. I think the Stormcast one is $100 because it contains a little more stuff. By the way, that Stormcast one doesn't seem like a bad deal at all. Like the Lord Veritant,
No.
10 Judicators, 6
fine.
Gryphounds, 3
Fine.
Castigators, and then there's just like another Gryphound in there. What was the other Gryphound?
Because it goes with the Castigators.
Oh, did they come with one too automatically in the box?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Castigators came with one in the box. Okay, cool.
Yep.
There you go. I knew Veritant came with one, so, and obviously
Right.
the 6-pack is just the box of Griffies.
I added value.
Yay!
All right.
Yay! Yeah. So that one's like $100. The other ones are exactly what we said it was going to be. 3 chariot, exactly what the pictures said.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
3 chariots, or the Seahorse King and 2 sharks, or the Sorceress on Black Dragon, and
Yep.
10 Dark Shards / 10 Dread Spears. So, and those last 3 are all $90. So, yeah, good stuff. All good deals. Price wise, those are actually all quite reasonably priced. So, way to not miss on this one, I guess. After seeing a couple of times where our pricing was perhaps a bit higher than we would have liked.
Yeah.
I'll say it that
I
way.
saw these prices and I love it, except for the collector's edition book. Like,
I mean, it's
$80 for that collector's edition book. Probably not.
no. They're gonna have to start like doing something with collector's editions books if you want us to buy things that are special in some way.
Yeah, like a slip case or special models or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like metal tokens. I don't know.
Something. But give me a reason to care. Because I mean, I'll buy the limited edition for whatever, for like my main armies, no matter what, just because you want to flex if it's your main army, right?
But lore books?
But lore books, yeah. That's gonna be a pass for me, dog. Okay. So yeah, and we've seen some rules, fun looking stuff. The Stormcast Chamber can take cities units as a 1 and 4. So they're like a reverse Cities of Sigmar, basically.
Yep.
Which looks cool. The new Cobra Kai temple in there, it looked okay. Still not. Yeah, it looked okay. The problem is it's up against Hagnar, so hopefully somehow that gets fixed too.
Like I suspect it's going to be very competitive. Wink, wink.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
Wait, I winked with the wrong eye. There we go. Okay. All right.
I didn't
Uh,
wink. I just like emote winked.
sure. Yeah. Paul, did you see anything in any of the rules previews or anything like that that you thought that caught your eye, be it in the Shadow and Pain preview from today or from the larger preview yesterday? I know you like the cities of Sigmar and such.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool that you're going to be able to take a Stormcast chamber and use Cities of Sigmar, but it doesn't seem like there's anything broken in doing that.
Sure.
Like there's like I can't think of a reason to do that. Because all of your tools that you would use to make cities stuff abusive is like not available if you're in a Stormcast Allegiance. So like you're not gonna like Soul Scream Bridge 30 Iron Drakes across the board when you're casting it on a 7.
Right, because you don't have the sort of we always get all the max benefits or whatever thing.
Yes, but you could mix in some other stuff. There are Stormcast Eternal spell casting bonuses. Actually, like not too like especially like you have Star Drakes, you have the item. Like there are actually like tools to jack that bonus up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that I think it's good for Stormcast in that it's going to give them access to cheap quantities of bodies.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think we may end up seeing them get used kind of like how people were using Chaos Marauders for a while as like when they were using mercenary companies and like throwing a bunch of Marauders into into Beastclaw and having bodies all of a sudden.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean obviously the things that caught my eye were there's now multiple ways to give extra attacks to snakes. Clearly, there's a big snake focus in here. Obviously, my love of the Daughters of Cain is mainly snake focused, and so I'm excited to see them trying to make that good. I know what snakes can do when you give them 3 crystal touches per. They can actually do some work,
which it seems like you can now.
You can. The trick is you've got to make the Melusai Iron Scale fight first. She has like this Beast Lord style rule, which is rough. But we'll see. The point is, I like where they're going. Sure. Right? They're putting a lot of effort into making the snakes and the harpies a more valid sort of part of the army.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm okay with that. Right?
Yeah.
That's cool. The trick with the city's people in Stormcast armies is we don't know really what's going to apply to the city's people and not yet because we've only seen that little snippet. And in the snippet, it specifically says like the command abilities. When you use a command ability out of one of your Stormcast, the city's people count as Stormcast Eternals. Just those, they absorb those 2 keywords for that. Which basically means they can get the +1 to hit or a couple of the Battle Shock immunity ones. Not bad. Like, big Battle Shock immune 40-man blocks is a good thing, but that's kind of on characters that aren't really used right now, as Tom pointed out. But, again, who knows?
Yeah, like so what I'll say is this. You don't get a lot of, like, there's only 2 command abilities in all the Stormcast Eternal armies that are actually going to, like, be usable. One is the +1 to hit, one is the Battle Shock bubble. I think what you're going to see is a bunch of power pairs get imported in.
Sure. I mean, that's the obvious sort of combo, right? You're bringing in 2 things. Now, if you can get like a wizard or a priest in there, arguably right now they would get, at least from what we've seen, they would arguably get the Stormcast spells or prayers.
Right. So like one power pair that I think would be really strong would be a block of, Iron Drakes, like a full horde block of Iron Drakes with a Rune Priest backing them. Because again, right now, based on the wording, which let me affirm, like it really is the wording. You're gonna get a bonus prayer right now with that Rune Priest, and the way that it's worded, you get both the Sigmar prayer and the Rune Priest prayer. Now that'll probably be FAQ, but the way that it's currently worded, that's how it works.
Sure. Yeah. So At any rate, I'm excited about a lot of the rule stuff we've seen. Obviously, as with anything of those, we'll need to figure it out. Like
Right.
we'll need to wait to see the whole thing before we truly
Yep.
evaluate. So that's fine. Okay, cool. Right on. Anything else? Broken Realms, Marathi book, like what's going on pre-order this weekend. Now that we have this, we're going to be talking about the future of the Broken Realms tonight, not as much what's coming in the Marathi book, because we'll have that in the next, 2
I'm
days.
so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like
I think we all
just
are.
don't-
This is the most excited I've been for a book in at least 3 weeks. I say that because, an army book that I just really wanted for 5 years came out. So,
Yeah, I mean that tracks.
aside from that.
That
Okay.
tracks.
Also, which one of you has some kind of smoke detector? I need to address this.
It's not me.
Sorry.
Paul, you're killing me. At
Wasn't
some
me.
moment, I'm going to mute you. You're going to stand up. You're going to pull the battery out of your smoke detector and come back. That's going to happen here.
The problem is that I can't. I don't even know why it's chirping because it's one of the ones that's wired into the house wiring, not a battery.
But no, it probably still has a backup battery. Most of them do.
Yeah, they usually do. And once
Yeah,
that runs
that's
down,
what
it'll
it
beep.
is. It's the most annoying thing. But that's probably what's going on.
Yes. All right. We'll deal with it. Although, like 50 people have mentioned it in the comments, Paul, I want you to know. So, at some
This
point.
is a great way to not get that 12th appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 13, but yes. Paul might need to mute himself when he's not actively talking. That might be the solution here we have to minimize the beeps. Or I'll just mute Paul. Hold on, let me see if I can mute him. Mute Paul Conti for everyone in the Paul. Yep. Ha. There. Boom. Ha. I muted you, Paul. Behold my power. Behold it. Okay, neat. Paul can still unmute himself.
The power of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm. So that's fine. I'm pretty sure he can unmute himself.
Yes.
At any rate.
Maybe.
Cool. What's next in the news? Yep, see, there he is. He's back. Hi, Paul.
Okay.
Welcome back.
New Bugman model.
Yeah. Bugman's
so
long
excited.
lost descendant in the Mortal Realms.
Yep.
Jacob Bugman the 11th
Jacob.
or something like
Jacob Bugman's son.
that. Yes, Bugman's son, the 11th. I think he was the 11th, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that sounds right. And I love that he's KO because, like, I actually have the drunken Bugman from like Forge World that he's passed out on the deck of my Ironclad.
Nice.
And so now I get to add like a foot version as well. I'm so stoked.
Nice. Yeah, cool model. I like that he comes with both a KO head and sort of his normal head.
Yep.
So that's cool. I thought both looked good.
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't have much to say about it. Dwarves aren't my thing.
They look great. Like,
yeah.
Do we know if he's actually getting rules though, or is he just a special edition model?
no, it's just special edition model.
I don't know. I think he'll get rules. I imagine
You
they'll
think
give
he
him
will?
rules. Yeah. I think
I
they'll give
mean-
him rules.
Like, I'm in if they do. I don't think they're going to though.
Well, as Mandali's pointed out in the chat, the Red Gobbo got 40k rules.
Okay.
So, like,
That's fair. And the White Dwarf, did he get?
I have no idea. I don't remember. None of these things have ever registered to me because they're all dwarves. It's really a problem that the sort of iconic model of this game that I love is a dwarf, a model that I hate. So, yeah.
Makes me kind of laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
Let's go back to Harry the Hammer. That's when we had it correct. That was the right iconic model.
Pass. Hard pass.
Oh, there you go. Yes. The article talked about him bolstering nearby troops. So there you go. So he'll have
There
some
we
kind
go.
of rules.
It's a morale buff. Congratulations.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody's +1 to bravery.
Woo!
Get in line, Lotan.
+1 to bravery, and I'm trying to think. Let me construct the worst, but let me construct the normal way KO rules are written. So people wholly within. Hold on. I'll get there. Okay. Non-garrisoned units wholly within 8 inches of Bugman get +1 bravery and can reroll hit rolls of 1 on range on missile weapon attacks against flying monsters.
And the bonus to morale is only if there's no enemy units within 3 inches.
Sure. There we go. Now we've written KO rules. Okay. Sounds about right. All right, good stuff. Yeah, so he's cool. Good fig. What's next?
So there's like free objective markers. Like I don't know what else to call it.
Sure.
You can get your free objective markers if you spend $100 at the GW store, and every month that you spend $100, they're going to give you a different one. The first one is a Marathi one, which I'm not gonna lie, it's really sexy. So
Coin. It has the Warhammer logo on one side and the Marathi symbol on the other.
I know, but it could be an objective marker.
It could, and they tell you when you get 6 of them, which is sort of their standard number for objective markers, they'll even give you a little fine carrying case.
After $600.
After $600, you earn a carrying case. Okay, look, I appreciate. Oh, and by the way, they'll also give you a free model if you visit. Like everybody can get up to 1 free model a month. Like this month they're giving.
Don't get me wrong, I'll take a free witch elf. Like I'm gonna
$6 model.
Eventually.
Yeah, $6.50. Yeah,
that is a $6 model. That's true.
Okay, let's talk about this. First, the free model thing, that's cool. And I like that they'll do painting classes and stuff. Like, yeah, great. Okay, fine. And they specifically said, look, we know a lot of stores are closed right now. You know, that's no problem. Everybody gets to hold their thing. And then, you know, if your store opens in 2 months, then they'll have all the coins there waiting for you and blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine, whatever. The model giveaway's cool. Painting classes is cool. Witch elves are cool. Fine. Okay, all great. This coin thing, get out of here. What are we doing? What is this? What is this?
It needs an infomercial.
What's that?
It needs an infomercial.
Yes.
This is like buying collector's coins, something you would hear like late at night on an infomercial. Yeah, that's what this feels like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Checks out.
The Warhammer Mint presents this fine series of gold 4-carat plated coins. Like, no. Okay? This is silly. This is absolutely silly. I don't know. No. This boggles my mind. I can't even wrap my head around this one. Okay. Let's go back to the 1990s. And in the 90s, especially in the late 90s, when you went to a store and you bought stuff, you bought Warhammer stuff, you got basically the equivalent of sort of a little punch card, like a buy 10 subs, get a sub free type thing. You got points, right? And eventually those points added up to, you could be redeemed for like free models of various and sundry types. Now, I will point out, on the top of that list, on the top of that whole list, was a Baneblade tank. Okay? This was like the biggest, most insane, impressive model in the universe in 1998. It was madness that you would own this thing. Okay?
Right.
It was the Thunderhawk gunship of its time.
Yep.
And nobody actually got enough points to get the Baneblade, but that didn't matter. Okay? It was on there. You felt like you were actually, every time you bought something, you were like, well, I'm getting closer. Okay? I could, if I just spend, and then you're like doing the math, and you're like, oh my god, if I spend another $6,000, I'll get a free Baneblade. But that doesn't matter. Okay? It still felt like you could change, because there were other models you could change it in for along the way, right? There was other stuff you could redeem it for that you would want.
Right.
Coins.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. CW Crinser said, I know a dude who got one of those Baneblades. That's amazing. Somebody actually got one. There's at least one. Okay. And I just put out a program like that again. Maybe there's some kind of tax law that prevents this, because I know a lot of times they have to be careful with stuff like this. But it feels like there'd be some way you could sneak around it to make it work. Like you get to trade in your points for GW goofball dollars, and then the goofball dollars can go get funneled through a different currency. Like you play this weird shell game until you're not gambling or doing whatever you're doing anymore, and then you're fine, and then boom. Anyways, okay, way too much time spent on coins. Who cares?
And
Is the short answer.
you critiqued me for my conversation on release dates.
Because that was a solid conversation right there. Okay, that's what that was. Not me going back and forth with myself for 20 minutes on.
You just get talk about for 10 minutes.
It's fine. What'd you say, Paul?
It was a solid rant.
Thank you. That's right. That's right. Rants are meant to be long. Okay. Last bit of news. That's right, folks. It's finally time. People have asked for it. You wanted it. You got it. Well, assumingly, I guess. So if you look down in the description of this video, you will see there is now a merch store link. That's right. We have Warhammer Weekly themed merchandise. It's very simple right now. There are 4 different designs. One of them is is Tom and I doing our tinfoil hat thing with it's Vampirates, hashtag Vampirates. So if you want to rep the Vampirates prediction, you too can now get Tom and I's little cartoon characters on a t-shirt with the Vampirates thing.
And I don't think we've ever released that image. Like that was in the original set that we commissioned from Stone Monk.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's ever been released.
Yeah, we've never used that one. So yes, this is actually the first time that we've used this this particular image. We've got a couple other images like that in that clutch that we never used. So
and you want the totally Vampirates, hashtag Vampirates.
Hashtag Vampirates. There you go. Yes. So there's one for Tom, one for me, one for just the generic Warhammer Weekly, and then of course there's a hashtag Vampirates thing. So there you go. The merch is there. I'll be adding more to it
we'll do
as time goes. Once I think of additional designs, I am going to work with some art folks to get some more images commissioned and stuff like that because I want to get some more cool images done. So we'll get there. And yeah, so there you go. That's merch is happening, folks. It's there. That store is now there, and we'll be there. And I'll add in. Once the Vampirates eventually come out, we'll retire designs and add new ones and stuff like that. So
and we're not like these are only clothes right now. It's not cups, not dice, none of that yet. What I would say is that we are not making money off this. Like
yeah, I tried to set these at like very very. Basically some of the lowest margins they would allow me to set it at so that it's just so we can get it to you as cheap as possible. So
yeah, like if you go and compare us to like most other content producers and their merch on this website on Teespring, I can assure you we're probably cheaper because we're doing this because people have asked. Like this is not us like making bank.
Yeah, because one thing to note is all of these are like the best version of what they had. So like it's always the premium shirt, the nicest cotton, the premium hoodies or anything like that. We always used yes, it's always Teespring making the money. I'm sure they're fine, which is fine. I don't care, whatever. They're doing all this work. It's fine. They facilitate this, so I don't care. I didn't want to put out crappy t-shirts, so we picked all the nicest stuff they had. Hence the margin. Okay. Anyways, enough of that. There you go. You can check it out. I hope you all enjoy it. That merch link will be in all the videos. We will be trying to do some other offerings too. I wanted to start simple here. Okay. But yes, I'll eventually look at like aprons and mugs and other stuff like that. Some of those require unique designs. I had to put all of these on white. The reason because all of the art assets I have right now are white around them.
Right.
So I don't have like a knockout image of the characters yet. If I can get some knockout images that don't have a background, then I can drop them onto black and stuff like that. So more to come. For right now, it's just white shirts because our designs all have like a white square or white stuff around them. So if you put it on like a gray shirt, it looks really dumb because there's a big white square in the middle.
The Warhammer Weekly commemorative coins are coming.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because you can clearly tell that Vince loves them.
Absolutely. All right. Cool. I think that's all our news. Let's talk about some pick of the week. Paul, what do you got, man? What do you want to share with everybody?
I will somewhat shamelessly self-promote and prognosticate into the future, since we are talking about the future this evening. I'm going to be doing a show with AOS Coach. We're recording it on Friday. I don't know when he's going to release it, though. But we're going to be talking about Nurgle for a while, and some Nurgle lists and all of those fun things that make Vince want to throw up.
Fantastic. Well, if it's with Coach, then I'll watch it. Paul, you're not. I mean, you. I could go. I could take it or leave it. But with Coach, I've got to show up.
I mean, he's got the beard.
It is.
You can't beat that beard.
It is glorious, no doubt about it. No, I think he's already scheduled it, so I should be able to actually grab the link for it. So I'll go grab it and share it in the chat below, or in the description below. Fantastic. Wonderful. Tom, what do you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned this in a long time, so I'm going to mention it again. Vince and I are on a Twitch stream, on Meph's Twitch stream, and we do some role-playing occasionally for Soulbound, for AOS Soulbound. And so I want to spruik that show.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. It's been a good game recently. It's a lot of fun.
It's still going strong-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would encourage you guys, we should have a new stream up this Friday, probably.
Yep, that's right.
So come check it out.
Nice. My spruik is going to be very simple. So for those, this is going to be a purely miniature painting one. So for those who know the Cult of Paint, Andy and Henry over in the UK, they are running a Kickstarter right now called, I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce it because it feels like some kind of Welsh Celtic word, but it's like Duragard. Whatever. Anyways, it's full of amazing miniatures. Like if you're a fan of elves, of some really sweet elf designs, they do them in multiple scales, so you can get them actually in Warhammer scales as well. There are busts included too, but they also have the bigger scales, like display model size scales. If you haven't seen these yet, I mean they're mind-blowingly good elf sculpts. There's like a samurai elf, Tom. Have you seen any of these?
I have not.
Oh my god,
They
dude.
sound amazing,
You
though.
need to see this like samurai elf thing who has this giant you would love this dude. He's got like this giant ridiculous like Nodashi type sword he's like holding over his shoulder.
Nice.
It's amazing. I think it reminds me of a character you played once. Like I'm pretty sure at some point you played an elf with a Nodashi. I seem to remember this.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Yeah.
I'd have to look back through my character folio, but
yeah. So at any rate, yes, it's super great. The Kickstarter still has some more time to it. They've unlocked a lot of stuff. Just one awesome thing. This is the dumbest little thing, but it made me real excited. So one of the things you can get in their Kickstarter is a plinth that's built like it's a solid plinth, but it has a background built into it. So if anybody's looked at my display pieces, you'll know I frequently use backgrounds, which I do by like taking a piece of plastic card and then gluing it to the back of a normal plinth. They actually have this beautiful infinite angled plinth that just runs up, so you can do it all at once. So just super cool stuff. Doragard, Doergard, I think, or something like that. Hold on, I'll get the exact spelling. I'm sure I'm screwing that up. Deoargard. There you go. Yes. Deoragard. I don't know. Like I said, it's probably a Celtic or Welsh word or something. It's great. So there you go. Okay. So, that's our pick of the week. Check it out. Check it out.
Check it out, y'all.
That's right. Let's talk hobby time. Paul, what are you working on right now? A couple viewers have asked, and some smart viewers, those with sharp eyes, have noticed.
Yeah, working on Glotkin.
There he is.
The big boy himself.
Yeah.
So, have you played much with him, Paul?
I have not actually played him yet.
I can tell. You're painting him.
I think that's harsh. I think Glocken's super fun, especially at his current points value.
I
He's
mean,
fine. I have played against him several times. He often shows up at my table.
I have played him many times, and I've been disappointed most of them.
Look, he's
Now that was
better at what
always
he
at
is.
a higher point value.
That's
No, that
right.
was at a higher point value too.
That was at like
So
60 higher points or something.
yeah, but I mean, you're not going to fit a whole lot in for that points change. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is he not a gorgeous model?
He is. I love my Glotkin.
Can you be a true child of Nurgle if you do not have your Glocken ready to go, regardless of whether or not he's hitting the table? Answer, no. It would be like saying I'm into Nurgle and having 0 great unclean ones. It just wouldn't. You'd be like, you're not into Nurgle.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct, Tom. That's what I just said. You're not into Nurgle. You're a poser. That's it, Tom.
I mean, I basically have a Slaves to Darkness army, not a Nurgle army.
I know. You're a poser. You're a Nurgle poser. You're just in the Slaves to Darkness. That's all it is.
Yep.
Yeah, you didn't get like the real plague. You just like got a cold.
Right. Some sniffles. They've got the sniffles. All right. I assume you're doing the guys on top separate there, Paul, as just a quote unquote sub-assembly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They come off very, very easily. I'm tempted to actually magnetize them, but yeah, they come off easily enough, and they would be awkward to paint around. So
right. There's no reason not to. They just stand so easily. I mean, it's like the Mega Boss on Maw Crush, if you've ever painted that. Whenever you've got a model where it's just somebody literally standing on their mount, you know, they're not really attached in any complicated way. There's just no reason. And they're fully assembled separately. It's just like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just paint these separately, because who cares? Yeah, so that's fine. All right. Tom, what have you been working on, man? Has the Stormcast work continued?
I mean, I put some paint on him.
All right, that's good.
And I'm also, you know what? I'll announce this. That's fine. I am working on a narrative campaign.
Yeah, this is definitely counting as hobby time.
So I am wanting to design a narrative campaign set of rules that can both guide like a local league, like a week in, week out league. Or it could be used to do as the framework for an event. Mm-hmm. It'll be like what would happen if Firestorm had a baby with blood in the Badlands and had a minor tryst with Mordheim. Yeah. It's the best way to describe this system. And so I'm working on that, and I'm doing some design for it, and then I'm going to do some refinement, and then there will be some other future stuff that we'll announce associated with it.
Yeah, that's right. So. This is definitely hobby time. Like, that is 100% hobby time, Tom. That does 100% count. I've looked over your document you shared, so lots of thoughts. Yeah, good. It's going to be good. I like where your head's at with this stuff. Okay.
You know what? I just want to throw something out there.
Please.
You know, some people that might feel like they're, you know, because they can't get to the paint table, they're not hobbying. I would consider list building hobbying too.
Oh man, I've never stopped.
Yeah. Well, if you're in the bathroom taking a dump and you're screwing around with War Scroll Builder, you're hobbying. You're still here. You're with us. You're one of us. You're keeping the mojo flowing. That is the key. So, and I'm sure other things too. I mean, even I think just really like devoting good thought to what you're working on, or lists or combinations of things. Like, you don't have to necessarily be at your hobby desk or, you know, something like that, or playing a game to be, you know, hobbying. Like, no, there's a lot of aspects to all of this.
Firm disagree, but that's fine. I understand. Hobby is hobby. Paint. Why aren't you painting? Okay. So at any rate, but no, I get it. It is like certainly that is a valid part of the overall hobby because it is something where a lot of people really do take a great amount of joy in the engagement and list building, especially you disgusting Johnny types. So both of which you are, both of you are, which nah, that doesn't work. Anyways, for myself, I'm working on my fifth giant. I have the sixth one. He's over there, actually behind the screen, drying behind a light, under a light, because the flesh is all done in oil paints and stuff, so that takes some time. So I dry him with a light bulb. And this one's real fun because he's got his little derpy face mask on. He's got the big dumb face from the Chaos guy. I just love the face on this guy. He makes me smile every time I look at him. And this dude, I did record a entire tutorial for with every step of my conversions along the way. So, like, every crazy conversion I did with him, I walked you through, like, how and why and how I got there. So I'll put out a video for, doing heavy conversions on a model. Yeah, this guy's fun. I will tell you right now, if you like goo, it features goo heavily. That sprue goo is all over the video. Get ready for the goo. But that guy's, so that'll be done soon. The sixth baby will be done, and then all that's waiting, I have both of my megas converted. They're sitting behind me right now. And, yeah, the big boys are back there ready to go. Got two of them, and that'll be the whole, that'll be 2,000 points. I suspect I'll pick up one more mega. That way I can run like a insane 3 mega situation if I want to. But that'll give me some good variants. What's that?
Or swap them out for different types.
Oh,
or are you converting them to the point that they're unrecognizable?
They're unrecognizable. I have signifiers of all of them on there, so everyone has signifiers of all 3, so I can say they're whatever. Right? And there you go. So, easy enough. At any rate, so yeah, I'm excited about those. I'll be glad to have the little babies done, because that'll give me the full clutch of 6 babies, 6 baby giants. And I don't think I'd ever run an army with 9 babies, so I'm good with that. And that'll be, it's not really an army where you're going to end up with 10,000 points for much of a reason, unless you just really enjoy painting the big megas. Because why? Right? It's two scrolls, basically, right? So it's not Skaven where I have 10,000 points of Skaven because there's 60 scrolls, and you could run any. I could be running it every week for the next 8 weeks and never run the same unit. So that's just not the case here. Anyways, you are gonna, Paul. I want you to know you're gonna drive Tristan insane. I want you to know that. Yes.
I am a firm advocate of slowly eroding everyone's mental health. Yep, there it is again. So I am just contributing.
That's fine.
Contributing to the unwellness of 2020.
Is the battery within reach if you go over and touch the thing? Can you stand up and touch it?
I probably can.
You should go over there and pull the battery out. I'm just saying, make it nice on our viewers.
Well, it's wired, so I don't know that'll affect anything. Yeah, I think you actually
you might have to actually switch the battery, because otherwise it'll just go nuts. Well, that'd be a worse world, although it wouldn't matter to me any if he was on mute. It might matter to his wife or something if she's sleeping.
She's 2 floors up.
All right. So, at any rate, let's get into the main topic tonight, shall we? Let's talk about some Broken Realms. Okay. Here we go. So we know we've got Marathi coming. Where I want to start with this is multiple people have said, please go try Paul, by the way. I do want you to know this is a popular request. Would you like to give a moment while we do this? Would you like to go mess with it for a second?
Of the 309 viewers,
I'm just saying, some people have asked, would you like to go mess with it, Paul, and make our viewers happy?
I could.
You could.
The problem is I'm not wearing any pants.
Ah, well, that is a problem.
Turn off your camera then, too.
No, I'm kidding. I will see for the viewers.
This
I
this
can
is
do
going to be riveting YouTube.
That's okay.
streaming.
I'm going to set this up. So you've got a moment. I'm going to set up what we're going to talk about. So you've got a minute to go over there. So go hit
Broken
it, Paul.
realms are neither broken nor realms discuss.
There you go. All right, you go. We're going to mute Paul just in case it does go insane. So we can't hear the chaos.
It's going to be so amazing.
All right.
Yes.
So Broken Realms. We know we're getting Morathi. We know it's going to be largely focusing on her move into godhood. And we know that it's going to feature 5 different factions, as we've talked about.
Well, the table of contents have been spoiled by them as well, haven't they?
The table of contents have been spoiled. So we know there's some big major moves happening. Like
We
a
know
major
that some
attack
things
on...
may cease to exist.
I don't think that's what's actually going to happen, but yes, we know that there is a very large confrontation happening in Anvilgard. Yes. Releasing the table of contents was like... Do you remember when they released the... Like, Tom, do you remember the lead up to the Phantom Menace? Do you remember how insane the world was?
I do. Yes,
okay.
I do.
Do you remember how... 2 weeks before the Phantom Menace came out, they released the soundtrack to the Phantom Menace, and there was a ballad. There was a track on it called "The Death of Qui-Gon Jinn,"
and they're like, "Oh, spoilers!"
You can unmute yourself now, Paul. He's slain the beast. Nice. There you go. Beautiful. You're everyone's hero. I love it. You've come back.
Except like the fire marshal. But
yeah, whatever. You're a successful hunter.
So, like, from the seeming table of contents, can I spoil it? Since it's like out there,
they put it out there publicly. Yeah.
But but should we spoil it for our viewers if they don't want?
We'll save it. Let's not. We won't directly do it.
So stuff's going to happen.
Yes.
Realms are going to be broken, and the world will never be the same.
They're making some big moves. We also got a single story, which was all about something about Gorka Morka coming back vaguely.
Yes.
Before this show, I went back. I have the Malign Portents collected fiction.
Of course you do.
I went back and reread that.
Sure.
And then I read the Forbidden Power stories as well. Okay.
Yep.
And first of all, there weren't that many Forbidden Power stories. I'll just say that.
Yep.
There was a lot more malign sorcery.
Yep.
The Forbidden Power stories all pretty much tied into something, but often in weird ways. So, for example, there's a story in Forbidden Power where the Skaven accidentally gnawhole into one of the storm vaults.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And they get then like Launchin the Soulseeker comes by and kills a Skaven, and like that's the whole story. Okay. Great. And so I like, yes, that was that mentioned that like Launchin's in there, and it mentioned a storm vault. But overall, it's not like Forbidden Power had some huge Skaven focus.
Right.
Right. So you'll often see races participating in these stories or species. For example, if you crack Malign Sorcery, or the Malign Portents one, the first story is just about a troll eating things. That's it. And that obviously Malign Sorcery did not have really anything to do with.
Well, we got Gloomspite at the launch of it.
I mean, ish, sure.
Ish. Sure.
So, my point being that these don't have to necessarily tie in directly. What I saw was that there's a lot of stories that didn't directly relate to anything specific about what the release was, right? But did sort of tie in. It was more that they all tied in thematically in some way. Okay. Sure. In the same way we had, Morathi with the little spy or whatever leading up to that time.
Yep.
Anyways, okay. So what I want to start with, let's start with the simplest question. You ready?
Yes.
Ring-a-ding-ding. Let's predict a thing. Here we go. How many Broken Realms books will there be? That's question 1. And then we're going to name them. Okay? We're going to talk about what they are. So, Paul, how many... You don't have to do the names yet. I'll give you a moment to think about that. Paul, how many Broken Realms books are there going to be?
I am going to go with 5.
Okay. What is your justification for 5?
There are 24 armies in Age of Sigmar currently, and we're getting 5 different armies represented in this one book. So if you just kind of divide that out, that would tell you that you would cover all of the armies with 5 books if you stick to 5 armies per book.
Okay. All right. Got it. Perfectly reasonable. Tom, where are you coming down?
I don't know. Psychic Awakening only had 3.
Okay. No, Psychic Awakening? You talking about the 40K thing?
Yeah, it didn't have 3.
No, it had more than that. A lot more than
that. Maybe it was in novels only had 3.
Oh, that could very well be. I have no idea what goes on with Black Library, but no, Psychic Awakening had a lot of books.
Did it?
Yep.
I mean, the question is how I think that I'll say it this way. I think it'll wrap up by next summer. I feel confident about that.
Sure.
And so I am going to predict that we'll have 5 as well. And I think we'll get an early January release, a February. I think that in they'll stagger early to late occasionally, so we'll get probably 6 weeks of releases in between, something like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm predicting. So that it'll push right up to a month before the launch of new AOS.
So I'm gonna lay down a Psychic Awakening. So just to clarify, I went and looked to see what there were. So here's your Psychic Awakening books. You ready?
Yep.
Phoenix Rising, Faith and Fury, Ritual of the Damned, Blood of Baal, The Greater Good, War of the Spider, Saga of the Beast, Engine War, and Pariah.
Wow, 9.
I think I got them all.
That is bold.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. Here's my argument.
Yep.
I think there are going to originally, Paul. I was doing the same math you were. Okay, because that's sort of the logical answer, right? I think if when you just look at that, it's like, okay, that makes sense. They're going to keep dividing them up like this. The problem is that GW never does the completely logical thing.
Right. Sure.
Okay. They are Left Turn the company, right? So I think there is going to be at least 6. All right? And let me tell you why I think that. It'll become more obvious when we get into sort of how these books are going to trot out in my mind.
Yep.
But they will repeat armies.
Ooh. Did they do that in Psychic Awakening?
No, but Psychic Awakening was a little different. It was kind of less stuff per... It was only 2 armies per book, and it was slightly different. Okay. So they will repeat armies is my supposition. Okay. Specifically, armies that will repeat. I'll go farther. Here are the armies that will likely repeat: Cities, Stormcast, Chaos. Specifically, Chaos any, but specifically probably Slaves to Darkness. Because they seem to have 2 goals with this content. Okay? One goal is we're going to use this as an opportunity to patch armies that need patches. Right? We all agree with that.
Yep.
Okay. But that's not their only goal. That's not what's directing this. What's ultimately directing this is they want to tell a story focusing as we go around the mortal realms and important things happen. And these things are going to tend to focus around areas where we are going to care and be invested in the story. And that's going to be where Cities, Stormcast, and Chaos meet. Right? namely in the cities or something like that. You know, now not all of them have to be like that. Okay, you can have like you could have one that focuses mainly on death that's happening, in or around Nagash's Black Pyramid, or something like that, right? That features none of those people I just talked about. Could be like a pure destruction and death play. They've done that before. But they will use this opportunity because those are such anchor points for our experience of the world, and because each of them are so limitlessly expandable. And here's what I mean: this first Stormcast one, what are we seeming to focus on?
Stormkeeps.
Yeah, these Stormkeeps and Vanguard stuff, right? A lot of
What do you
stuff
mean Vanguard stuff?
like shooty stuff that's already probably out there. Okay.
No, I mean it's Stormkeeps.
Fair, that's fine. My point is, you're not going to cover all the Stormcast in one thing. Okay, like there will probably be another Stormcast thing where they talk about the where we get like the focus for the Dracoth and all of that though that whole release, right? And they play around with that stuff. You'll get other cities somewhere along the line. Like I guarantee you. Well, I won't guarantee it. I have a strong inclination that Misthaven and whatever the other city is are not the last time we're going to see new cities rules. Why? Why would it be? Right?
Yes, I could see them revisiting other cities. But I don't think they're going to revisit Stormcast.
Why so?
I just have a feeling.
Okay. I see. I disagree, but all right. I'm interested.
What I'll say is that I think that what we're going to get with the first book is going to be blanket Stormcast, and I think that we're going to get a new Stormcast book comes July. And so I don't think that we're going to get a bunch of doses of Stormcast throughout this set of releases. I just don't.
I do definitely agree we're going to get a new Stormcast book. Yes. We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, shout out to Goobs, who's in the chat. What's up, Goobs? How's everybody doing? Good to see you, brother. All right. Let's do the fun thing.
Okay.
You said a number of books. What's the next book? What's book 2? Book 2. Here we go, folks. What is book dose? Paul.
Oh, God.
I gave you lots of time to think about this.
You did. You gave me all kinds of notice. Book 2, I am going to go out on a limb and say Malekith.
You're a madman, but okay. You Malarian, I assume you mean, right?
Or, yeah, Malarian.
I know what you meant. I get
it.
Yeah.
It just seems like that might be a natural way the story would go, where you're working with other related people and how they're going to be impacted by whatever Marathi's up to.
Okay. Right on. Tom, what's your book 2 called?
Gorka Morka.
Is it actually Gorka Morka?
It is. It's Gorka Morka.
See, because I think it's book 2 Gordrak.
It might be Gordrak, but I think Gorka Morka is more interesting.
Yeah, I just don't think it will, because I don't think they're going to make a Gorka Morka model. I would love if they did. Boy, that we talked before about the Gorka Morka model. We'd love to see. Give me that big boy stomping around the realms.
Well, we do know that they're going to mix in some models. Right?
Sure.
They are? Have they officially announced that?
Well, there's going to be some model releases. I think that they've alluded to that.
Yeah, I agree, because the first one aligns with the... If you think about the way they stacked the first one, they stacked it with the release of Shadow and Pain, right? So they basically got the free new Slaanesh and the new Melusai Iron Scale, but specifically the Iron Scale to really align, right?
Right.
Let me say it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a dual box with every book. That's a bold claim, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I think there's no way. I mean, hey, I'd love to see that, but I doubt it highly. I just don't think they can chunk out those many of those.
I mean, like in the first 6 months um of 2019,
We got like 3.
3 or 4.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So like I think it's viable. Because we had the Slanesh dual release,
Mhm.
we had the Skaven Flesh Eater ports. So we had
Well,
Corn
the one you're talking about, the Corn Slanesh one, that was
yeah,
2018.
was
It was because it came out like way in advance. It was a holiday release in the year before.
yeah
It doesn't
yeah
matter. I understand. Yes, there were
yeah
many boxes, right?
yes. We've had many dual boxes. Let me say it that way.
I think they'll. Here's what I would say. I disagree with they'll put out a dual box. Where I think you're correct is they will put out a release to tie in with all of these
Sure.
books.
Sure.
So it's
Whether
either
they
going to
be
be the new army
yes,
or they'll do
getting
a dual
started.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or dual box, or get these getting started like snapshot packs.
Oh, we're gonna get these getting started snapshot packs. Like this is happening.
Yeah, the limited release things. Yes, we're gonna get some of those, and it'll be fine. It'll be great. For every battalion that you end up seeing in here, or a lot of them, not everyone, a lot of them, you're gonna see these bundles, and it'll be good. Like it'll be like I love getting discount models, but I think it'll be a destruction focused book too, if I were to guess.
I completely agree with you, and here's my justification.
Okay.
So I went back and looked at. I thought a lot about the End Times release structure.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Book 1 in the End Times is Nagash, right?
Yep.
And it sets into motion all of the actual big plays that are going to happen in the End Times.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Then Book 2 is Nurgle.
Right. It's a weird spoiler.
Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually have much to do with the rest of the story, with the broader story.
But it's other things that are moving and shaking.
Yeah, it's just like Nurgle comes in, he messes up the Empire, he messes up some Bretonnian people, like there's some fighting and the Empire's on its back, right?
Yep.
He's softening up the Empire.
Yep.
But it's not actually that we don't really advance the overarching narrative that much in book 2.
Correct.
It isn't until Kane when things hit overdrive. Like Kane, Thanquol, Archeon are just like these like massive escalations, right? Ulthuan is sinking and elves are becoming murder gods and the moon is crashing into the world and like things are escalating, okay?
Yep.
And so we know that if they're going to do 6 of these books, they don't want to ramp it too fast. The first story they put out was a destruction-focused story about orcs that clearly called out to Gorka Morka, right?
Yep.
Destruction has a lot of room for potential improvement.
Yep.
Right? So you could put out a Gordrak book and you could touch multiple destruction factions and help them out.
Yeah, and not only that, that's also why the Stormcast can't actually aid what's happening with Marathi.
Sure, because they're too busy dealing with this nonsense as Gordrak is like knocking down Excelsius's door or whatever.
Yep, and that's exactly, I think, the answer is. I think the reason why we don't see a significant aid to stop the destruction of censored whatever place. I think that the reason why Sigmar can't intervene there is because he's tied up with destruction elsewhere.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And so I think that would be a way to advance but take baby steps, and they wouldn't have to focus on advancing the overall narrative that much. Right?
Right.
They'll just show other chaos. Like, here's another example of the realms breaking apart.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And destruction, by the by, could also give them a chance to dip on Stormcast again early. Just pointing that out. If they do, if they do that, that would be fine. They could also touch a another Chaos faction in there pretty easily.
Yep.
They could touch Khorne in that one, really simple, right? It'd be so easy to have Khorne be a part of this.
You could also have Skaven be a part of it.
Sure. So that's why I think you'll get that book next. I also think
And you could get Excelsius in there too. You know, like if that's really where this war is taking place, that's a shoe in. You know,
sure, because we
for
know this one ties into catacombs because there's the on the table
right.
of contents they have the realm of battle rules for the 8 points, which is cool.
Yep.
I'm excited for that.
Yep.
Here's the fun thing that was on the table of contents. We're getting 3 new realms in Marathi. Are those going to have 3 new magic items in them? Is our crappy magic item list of realm magic items going to slightly expand? Is every one of these books going to add 3 new or some number of new realm magic items?
I don't have an answer for that.
Look, here's what I want the answer to be. Yes! Yes! Please make an artifact that makes something fly. That's all I want. Is it that hard? Just make an artifact that's generic that makes a thing fly. Okay. Sorry.
That seems like it might be slightly self-serving.
No,
I'm
it's
not
100% self-serving, not slightly. I checked. We did a recount. It's 100%. All the votes are in. Okay. Yeah, I agree. All right, Paul, what's your book 3?
Book 3, I'm going to go with Slaanesh.
Oh, okay. Bringing her in early. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Is this Slaanesh just getting free? Is that the crux of it?
I think that's probably the big overarching thing, but I don't think I feel like that's not the finale to this story. I feel like that is a plot point in the middle.
Yep.
So I think the repercussions of Slaanesh getting free, I think, are going to be a bigger deal than Slaanesh getting free. And I think the story is probably going to have more to do with, like, okay, if Slaanesh gets out and Marathi has this grudge, which I'm sure she has,
who is now theoretically perhaps a god? Yes.
Yeah, like what does that battle look like? Who's involved, and all of that.
Yeah. No, I don't know that I like it as book 3. I might like it slightly better. It was my book 4. I mean, I'll just tell you that right now. But the part that I completely no way. I disagree completely, Tom. Here's why. If there's like unless there were 7 books, then I'd buy book 5. It's not going to be the end. Okay? Because
it's not Slash either. Like my book 5 has this.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Paul nailed it. Why would you end the story with Slaanesh getting free? That's when the interesting things happen.
No, she doesn't get no. Like I'll get there when I walk.
That's fine. Mine. So I agree with your point about that. I like that. I think that's yep. I don't know that it'd be called Slaanesh. I don't know that it wouldn't. But yeah, sure, okay. There's no other real character to name it. That's the problem.
Celeste is.
Celeste isn't interesting enough. That's the problem. She's not well known enough.
But I think that just like they use Glotkin to introduce and double down on and really push Glotkin's narrative, I think Celeste is the right move, especially because the aesthetic will match the new release.
Or there could be a new character that we just have not been introduced to yet, like a named Lord of Pain or something like that.
Sure,
maybe.
All right, what's your book 3, Tom?
Techless.
Okay.
And so I think that what's going to happen is because in book 2 we have Sigmar overcommitted to Gorkamorka or to Gordrak, I think Techless has to call upon more backup. And so I think that it is the attempt at like the rallying cry of order to really push back. And when you have a major play by Marathi, it will, like, by definition, it will pull Techless in.
Okay.
Like, he is not simply going to let her become a god or run roughshod.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
Got it.
And so, like her ascendance will force him to play more of his hand. And so I think he'll tap into some other nations.
Okay. All right.
And I think we'll get some new content with that, and yeah.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. So my book 3, that I was thinking was, I don't know if it's Manfred or Neffy, okay, but it's one of the vampire people, and that's when we get vampirates. Okay, like that's the release that comes along with that. I think we get that before we get, because I as well have Teclis in here. I agree, Teclis is one of the books. I'm with that.
So, do you know why it's not that?
I'm ready.
So I know we're in the same headspace, but I think you have them reversed. I think so Marathi's play forces Teclis out.
Okay.
Okay. Because Teclis is now focused on Marathi, it opens the back door
for Slaanesh
to Slaanesh's realm. And who is the worst spoiler in the multiverse?
Manfred. Yeah, sure.
And so what happens is that now that the back door is open, Manfred slips in and tries his own gambit because he's been way too quiet for way too long.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
My call is book 4 is Manfred going, oh, now is my chance. And so he slips into the realm between realms to try to tap into Slaanesh's power. And that's when you get you see the full force of Manfred's army. And so that's the new release, okay, of vampires. And so he goes in full bore, gets to Slaanesh's realm, tries to tap into Slaanesh's power, and either Nagash shuts him down or he just bites off more than he can chew and he breaks Slaanesh free at the end of book 4.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think the vampire thing will come first, and I think here's why I get what you're saying. In my story is exactly the reverse of that.
And then that sets up book 5, where you get the resolution of the consequences of Slaanesh's release.
Yeah, that's fine. In my 6 books, my story is kind of the opposite of that. It's not that I'm saying you're wrong. I'm saying I could see what you're trotting out there.
Yep.
Okay, but I think the vampire stuff has been teased for so long. We've been getting rumor engines for ever.
Yep.
Okay, I cannot see that waiting longer than that. Because I assume they roll out, and here's why I'm thinking it. Here's why I stacked it this way. Because I had to think about release timings as well. My thought is they would put the book 2 somewhere in either December, pretty fast on, when they're not going to want to put an army out at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, or early January, and they would do it with just all the new start collecting for a bunch of destruction stuff for people to spend their Christmas money on. But they don't tend to do a whole new army until the February, March time. That tends to be when they go, hey, here's the whole new army, right? When we look traditionally, that's when they introduce the new army, right?
Yep.
That's when we got KO. That's when we got Daughters of Cain. That's when we get a lot of this stuff. The first arm of the year happens in late February, early March. They tease it at LVO. There's a whole release cycle to it, right?
The other half of this, by the way, is that we don't know, one consequence of whatever Marathi's gambit is could be the release of Slaanesh. Marathi may draw.
Sure, eventually, yes, but not in this book because it would have been on the table of contents. That would have necessitated an entry.
A bullet.
Yeah, there would have been a bullet point.
Yep.
Also, Slaanesh is free now. Anyway, all right, Paul, what's your book 4?
I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn on this one.
All right.
I am going to go with Alariel.
Okay. Yeah, I can see this one. This has been a popular one, and it feels like one that should be in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's you
could do Alariel
redacted. There's a lot of stuff going on in Alariel's territory, and I would think that she would have something to say about that.
Yeah, instead of Teclis, you could do Alariel as the main god, and Teclis assisting Alariel. I think in my narrative arc still stays the same in both of those. So I don't disagree with that, Paul.
Yeah, she's one that I think is discussing. She shows up in my book 4. Okay, Sylvaneth would be the second in my version of book 4. That's where we get the Sylvaneth getting a massive treatment. Okay. and I'll talk about that when I get to mine, because I agree with you. That feels like the right time. I don't think that's actually like a crazy left turn, because if you imagine what you could do in a story where you also have Alariel, we could get into the realm of life, show what's going on there. We probably haven't touched it much at this point in the story, right? We need to break up all these realms.
Right.
That would let us touch Sylvaneth, who need it, beasts, who need it,
Nurgle.
Nurgle, yep, who probably is untouched at this point, right? Like, there's a lot we could do in there,
Right.
right?
Yes, but
So-
isn't the redacted thing in Realm of Life?
No.
No,
No. It's Akshi.
I thought it was in Gyran.
No, it is definitely not.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, like,
no.
I don't think that's a long shot call. I would put those odds at like 3-1, 2-1.
Well, what I would say is that,
3-1.
like, the question, I think the narrative is the same. I think the question is it Lumineth or is it
Sure.
Teclis or is it Alariel?
Yeah, because you
Like-
could see the Teclis book where the thrust of it is Teclis has to go get Alariel or help Alariel,
Yeah.
or has to go help her. And that's
Yeah.
what they use, because that's going to be, I'll just say it right now, my book 4 is also Teclis, by the by. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, so you tie Alariel and Teclis together.
Correct. And I think Teclis has to go help Alariel because she always needs help. But in these stories, I don't know why. I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it's a thing that happens. Okay.
Would you say it's a trope?
It is a bit tropey, yes. But at any rate, she
In her war form.
in her war form, she often gets herself in a bit over her head. So, at any rate, I think Teclis goes and helps her, and that's what takes his eye off the ball. I agree with you. We need to get Teclis with his eye off the ball. I do think there's an LRL Part 2 that'll happen.
Yeah. Yep.
The army just feels like it's got more models in the Teclis nations. I'm not talking about the Tyranic nations.
Yeah, no, that I agree with you. And not only that, like I think we've seen what the unit is.
Yeah, the Swordmaster.
It's a Swordmaster. It's a
They came in-
Swordmaster.
as soon as I saw that Underworld Swordmaster, I was like,
Yep.
there's no way this is the only one of these they did.
Right. That Swordmaster told me we have another new unit of those coming.
Right. And
Yep.
so they do LRL Part 2 in my book 4, Teclis, and that features everything we just talked about, because it's also Sylvaneth, Beasts, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
And I think they're Water Nation. I think that one is Water Nation.
Book 4?
No, like the Swordmasters.
Oh, what? Sorry. I thought we switched to Avatar.
I mean, they are functionally the nations of the Lumineth are Avatar nations.
Yeah,
They are all vendors.
Sure.
But I think that like the Swordmasters are water, which is really interesting given the role of water in combating fire and in nurturing life. And so there may be some really interesting themes here.
Okay. So we had your book 4 already, Tom, but because you mentioned it, what was your book 4, just for clarity?
For me, my book 4 is I think 3 is the elf book, right?
Yeah. And then you're putting 4 as the death book, like
And
Manfred.
4 is the death book, yes. So 4 is the Manfred Gambit. And maybe like you end up getting like some Night Haunt and or OBR in there, because maybe they are how Nagash tries to stop Manfred. And so you actually get some schismatic like stuff within death. So you actually get narrative development within death, because Manfred is making this gambit and it's forcing their hand, and maybe Nephrata's caught in the middle. Who knows?
Sure.
But I think that's why you get the new book there. So
cool. All right, Paul. So you had 5 books in your cycle. What's finishing it out? What's your book 5?
You know, I don't know what name to put on it, but I can give you a concept.
Give me the concept.
I think what will have happen is you have Marathi that has created this giant distraction for the mortal realms, right? She is ascending to godhood. She is infighting with other factions. You have various different figureheads of the Order Pantheon all sort of at odds with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the place where the Chaos Gods, now fully reunited with Slaanesh released, take notice and push a major offensive into the mortal realms.
Okay. So book 5, yeah. So book 5 becomes sort of chaos resurgent, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like some sort of like a new age of chaos. I don't know, but I think my feeling is Marathi is going to F everything up for everyone.
Sure. So let me hold on. I want to answer a comment real quick. Somebody said, "Are any of these books going to be in Ulgu prominently enough to explore Clan Eshin?" Well, the first book is set in Ulgu and does not have any Skaven in it. So.
It's split between Ulgu and Akshi, from what I can tell.
Sure, there's a lot of Ulgu action. I'll say that much. Yes. Okay. Oof. No, I like that call. That because what I'll say is, if you have 5 books in your clip, as you mentioned, right? That would set up the time to release another chamber and launch a new edition with Stormcast at the helm, right? Like yep. Sigmar's like, all right, one more time. Boop, boop.
Well, that's what. So my book 5 is Celeste, right?
Okay.
And I'm similar. Like I think that it is a chaos resurgent, a chaos an excess of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that it's all unified.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could get Khorne in there trying to stop Slaanesh. Or trying to spoil Slaanesh. And I actually think that this is where the dwarves fit. I think that we get the first glimpse of the unified Grungy nation.
Okay.
Where we get the actual like in the face of this cosmic threat, I think we get the first glimpse of the unified Duerden force that they talked about at various points where they're having the accords and stuff like that of this unified like pact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a sense in which I think what ends up happening is the Duerden hold the line until the new chamber gets cracked in the new edition.
Bold prediction that dwarves would get that much attention at all. Okay. All right.
They've got to get a mention somewhere.
Sure. Like they're going to end up somewhere. And so the question is, if they're going to get an update, how do they do that? And I think the answer that they do that, like, so they've broken up. I'm not going to say that. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Some of it is too spoilery, so I'm gonna hold off on that.
It makes sense that at some we obviously with our first cities we've touched on, we had a big Dark Elf focus, right?
Yes.
And it feels like at a later point. By the way, the Alariel book that we mentioned, or the tech list with Alariel majorly focused in it, could also have a Wanderer's minor section in it. By the by, just as a call out. And the book you're talking about could have a Duerden call out in it, right? Like we could build. This is why I think they're going to go back to the cities multiple times over the course of this series.
Sure.
Because again, the action, like a battle, this has to be a story that affects the world, right? And the part of the world we care about is where people that are ostensibly the heroes, the protagonists of the story, live, right?
Yeah.
Now there are a couple other places, like I said, like the Black Pyramid at Agash, or the 8 Points. Like there are other areas that aren't just like human cities, so it's not like they all have to be there. But a vast majority of the stuff we care about is human cities.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Right?
Yep.
All right. My book 5 is also Slaanesh. I think that's right. And I think that's when she's breaking out. She's busting out. Okay? She wants the world to know.
I see her release at the end of 4 because of Manfred's screw up. And then 5 is the consequences of that.
Sure. I mean, either could be. Sure. Whatever. Yeah. But yes, I think this is like the escape / first consequences. Now, I'm going to take a different tack, though, than you, Paul. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Since you didn't have a book 6, I'm just going to change straight into my book 6. Slaanesh getting out is actually so the storyline that you just charted, Paul, is effectively this sort of cyclical thing where chaos comes back and then Stormcast go, oh, more chaos, quick, send out another chamber. That's all fine.
That also seems very much like a story Games Workshop would do.
It does. It does. I'm not going to disagree. But it's also a story we've done before. Right?
Yep.
Which is why it's a story that seems like Games Workshop would do.
Sure. So we could get our Mortal Slaanesh there, which we think are also coming, right, in line with that release. All that's fine. My argument, though, is it actually does the opposite. Okay? Slaanesh has been trapped for so long in the current story, right? And I submit to you that whatever happens when Slaanesh gets free, Slaanesh doesn't return back at normal power. Slaanesh returns back at too much power, okay? And brings chaos to chaos. And so what actually, like, Khorne has a huge position in the mortal realms, especially in the places where humans tend to live. And there's areas where our story focus, like Akshi and places like that, right?
Right.
And so the Slaanesh forces, when they're suddenly empowered by their god, coming out and going wild, okay, is it actually ends up weakening chaos overall by causing infighting, by causing chaos amongst chaos. Okay?
Yep.
And that leads to my book 6. Now, my book 6 is a long shot. I'm not going to lie. It could be any of 100 things.
Go on.
But here's what I'm basing it off of. You said, well, they won't redo Stormcast just to put out the whatever, just to put out the new Stormcast or whatever. Okay. Entered into evidence, I would like to submit Psychic Awakening Pariah. Psychic Awakening Pariah is the last Psychic Awakening book released.
Yep.
Who is on the cover of Pariah?
It's the female Null or the Sister of Silence person, right?
No. So on the cover of Pariah is a Necron. Specifically that Inquisitive Sazerac or whatever his name is. I don't know.
So it's the new bad guy. They're introducing the new bad guy.
No. He's not the big bad. That's just the thing. They introduced, like, I don't know. They introduced Saruman, okay, to introduce Sauron at the release. So my point being is that they released Pariah and it did some stuff with Necrons,
right?
Okay, and then immediately they switched editions. And who was in the big book? Who was in the big release box? Stormcast and Necrons. Right? So they put out a bunch of stuff. Thank you. Illuminor Saras.
Sure.
Saras. Sounds good. I'll believe it. Their names kill me. So at any rate, they've clearly shown, no, we'll use the last book in a series to set up the big set.
Right. The new edition.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So book 6 is a Skaven-focused book. Because out of chaos, there is no force that better serves when everything is broken and chaos reigns. There is no race that does better in chaos. They can also go anywhere, be anywhere, and ruin every plan ever than Skaven.
Okay.
Now, I don't know who the character is. I doubt it'd be Thankful again, by the by. Could just be the Horned Rat. Like, it could just literally be called, like, Broken Realms, the Horned Rat, right? The Horned Rat's also kind of upset with his position in the Chaos Pantheon. And a lot of this story...
He certainly would not be happy with the return of Slaanesh.
Correct. And as the traditional Chaos Gods are infighting, because Slaanesh is back out and causing chaos, the Horned Rat making a big move,
yeah,
right, would make perfect sense narratively. Like a lot
Yeah,
of this story.
I could even see that in my book 5, honestly.
Sure. A lot of this story is about gods or people becoming gods or gods making big moves and shattering the realms in the wake of it, right?
Yep.
Skaven have gotten like zero attention basically through all of AOS.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, they did foil Nagash's plan.
Sure. We got like a broken book that they eventually beat into submission, right? And we got a warlock bombardier guy, right? Skaven also interestingly filled the role to me a lot like what Necrons do in 40k, right? Necrons were never like the big main bad guy. They were never the sort of... They're not the thing you immediately think of when you think, what's the biggest threat to the Imperium?
Yep.
Right? In the same way that, honestly, right now, Skaven aren't the biggest threat to most of the story. Right?
Yep.
They're also a range in dire need of a, like, ground-up resculpt of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, book 6 is the Horned Rat. The Horned Rat does some final janky crap. That is what leads us into 3.0, which I'm going to call God's War. Okay? Or the Fall of the Gods, or some God's Fall. Sure, you pick your name. Something like that.
Gods at War.
Gods at War. Yes, there you go. Okay? Because we had the Realm Gate Wars and then the Soul Wars, and now we'll have the Gods at War, right? And the starter box for that will be Stormcast, because Stormcast will always be in that versus Skaven. And tell me that arc doesn't work like a beautiful charm. And it would echo the success they've had in 40k is my point. That Necron relaunch has been a huge deal for them. Do you know how many Necrons I see on Instagram and Twitter and stuff of people painting? Yeah. Relaunch an ancient line like that people have a lot of love for, and you sell 1 million of them.
Yeah, maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe.
That's my 6 books.
Is how much is the sales factor a driver of the narrative, which is like a consistent debate that we all have, right?
My guess is not much, but it's there, right? And so that's why I think there's a good narrative reason. There's a good... You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, when I thought of this, I thought, I love this because it hits on all cylinders, right? Yeah. That race does the best in Chaos. They've gotten the least attention. Narratively, it would be the exact moment for them to set up. They're the kind of race that often heralds changes of big events. Like Skaven portend. That is what they do.
Yeah, what I would say is I don't think we need to do this in 6 books. I think you can do it in 5. And I think that they end up having, like, in my narrative, they end up playing that same role. Like, I had mentioned Khorne moving against Slaanesh or like stepping into the power vacuum. Mm-hmm. You can just as easily do that with Skaven in book 5 of mine. Which then you have Skaven versus dwarves as well, potentially. Which has some legs to it. And then, yeah, I can see where you're going with the parallels of an old line. And it is a non-obvious pairing for Stormcast. And what I mean by that is in the new launch, it's very tangential to the rest of the lines, but it's relevant. It's a very it's a GW specific IP. It's an entire line that needs to be renovated.
Yep.
It's chaos, but it's not just another one of the chaos gods. So it's not just mimicking the corn box. Because the only reservation I have with doing like a Slaanesh box, which I think is a very low hanging fruit for moving into the new edition, is that it doesn't have as much room for growth of an entirely new relaunched line as as like Skaven does, and I fully acknowledge that. Like, I think Skaven is probably it would be a stronger launch narratively, and they play that same spoiler. Before I had mentioned where I thought destruction would be the box, like the paired box with Stormcast. And the go-to race there is Ironjaws. But again, the problem I ran into was that like they just can't expand that line enough to make it all new, right? And sell a bajillion models. But
Sure.
they can do that with Skaven.
Yep, that's right.
So I think that what I'll say is this: as for the pairing on where this ends, I think you have a very strong case.
Thank you. This is a hell of a point towards left field. I'll say that. Like, if next year I end up being correct, I'm gonna be like, I am gonna be time stamping this in a show. Let me tell you that right now.
Sure.
All
We
right.
need to just create a file, Vince, where we do all of our called shots and we just log it.
Sure. All right. So I don't want to. So
You
that's.
have to admit when you're wrong.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to actually like talk about that.
Nah, we don't talk about the times you're wrong. You only mention the times when you nailed it. That's how this works. Okay. Good stuff. Let's talk about so the next thing I want to go to is what we would want to see from some of the factions.
By the way, if Skaven jumped in that book, that's a great place for then Cerebon to step in.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Well, so, okay. Let's talk about what we want to see out of the individual forces. Like, what needs attention? So, Paul, your pick. We don't have to cover every army. I don't want to get into every army. We know they'll all likely be touched, right? So, what are the ones you want to see touched? You think should be touched, and what's the good touch here?
I think a really fun touch would be when we get around to Khorne. If you get a host of Khorne that allows you to take additional leaders, specifically 2 additional leaders, so that in a 2,000 point game you can have 8 leaders.
Okay.
Because that's your magic number, right?
Yep. Right. I mean, yeah, it's the number of Khorne. I love this idea, Paul. This is so on brand for Khorne. Getting to 8, and they have all these weedy heroes who shouldn't be leaders, right? But yet somehow are and are soaking up that slot. We've already removed, one of them in that the doggo is no longer a leader. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So like it's sort of the glory chasers kind of Khorne, right? Is what you're pitching, right?
Yep, exactly. Just those heroes of Khorne that are just going for glory.
I love this idea. Yes. I don't, and moreover, you could, at the same time, you could focus it a lot on the hordes of blood warriors or skull takers or wrathmongers or those kinds of things, the underused bloodbound, right?
Yep.
And focus them around working, like being sort of chaff at the leader's discretion and making them interesting in some way.
Yep.
Right? Where those actually become very playable in a way that, frankly, they kind of haven't been now. And we could get rid of a lot of it could be a lot less careful ballet garbage, right? Of they have to be wholly within, blah, 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 right? It could just be like, if they're leaders on the board still, then they get this bonus.
Yeah.
Right? And then Khorne would play a lot more how it should, where everybody's just running forward like a lunatic or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Tom? We'll do a couple rounds of this, by the way.
I think Fire Slayers have to have their Magmadroths touched.
Okay. I mean, we already have a Magmadroth focused subfaction, but you're saying that's not enough.
No, I think that you have to touch the War Scrolls first of all.
Okay.
And I suspect that what we'll see some rewritten War Scrolls for them. You could get another battalion because we don't have any Magmadroth focused battalions.
Okay. All right.
That doesn't exist. So, yeah, I think that's one thing that, like, is necessitated in the massaging of that faction, in lieu of like releasing entirely new units, which that army could really use.
Sure. We've talked about why that's a bad idea for them financially, but sure.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like aesthetically, it's not a pleasing army. It has the least interest of almost any of the AOS armies, and so releasing an entirely new unit is probably not a really good idea.
Sure.
And so what you need to do is just adjust what's already there.
Just rewrite the War Scrolls. Yes, I agree. By the way, when you do that, please break some of their outrageous defense stuff.
Yeah, maybe. Like you just focus on the units that have nothing to do with the outrageous defense stuff.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So
it naturally breaks it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Because then you have actually incentive to not just play. I'm gonna try to get to 2+ save Hearthguard Berserkers the army. Right.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. So the one for me is the most exciting thing to me about the first book in Marathi was that we saw we're going to get War Scroll rewrites. Right. What that opens up to me is that the obvious low-hanging fruit here, and again, my call would be this happens in book 4, but we'll see in either the Teclis or Alariel book. We're going to get rewritten. You get rewritten scrolls for certainly Alariel.
That's where I was going next.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this had to be done, right?
Yeah.
Certainly Alariel, plus probably multiple other Sylvaneth units.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And probably new battalions that allow them to play in a way that isn't, awful. Would be the hope. Right?
Yeah.
I guess, if I had to pick a thing. Like, the ideal War Scroll rewrites would be you rewrite Alariel, the Tree Lord Ancient, the regular Tree Lord, and
you have them count as Sylvaneth Wildwood. Fixed.
Yeah, sure. Yes,
done.
I mean we fixed all that. We fixed them all before, right? Go back to the how
Come
we
on,
fixed Sylvaneth.
come on, G-Dubs. We fixed it for you.
Yeah, just use that. And like, I'm trying to think of what else you rewrite in that book. I don't know. Maybe that's all. Maybe that's all you really need to do. I'm not sure. Maybe just the Wildwood itself and how it works. Just that's fine. I would love to see a rewrite of the Sylvaneth Wildwood rules to go in line with what we said it should have been originally, which is you buy one Wildwood, you put it on the table, you turn other terrain, and they inherit the rules of the Sylvaneth Wildwood. And they could pull that. That's a doable thing. Right? All right. Paul, what's your next go around? What do you want to see?
I think I'd like to see something that is working with Seraphon Coalesced, making there be a Seraphon option that just makes dinosaurs good.
Beyond Thunder Lizards, you mean? Or like, because I mean, the Thunder Lizard thing in there is not bad. Now, obviously, that's not the majority reason why people are using Thunder Lizards is just to play Dinos. They're using it with like Bastiladon double shots and stuff like that, right?
Right. I'd love to see a return to, your Saurus actually being good, a mainstay of the army. Mm-hmm. Your main battle line go-to unit for a sub-faction. I think that could be really strong, and I think it, the models on their own right now, like their War Scrolls as they're currently sitting, are not terrible.
No, I agree.
And
the problem is they just pale in comparison to so much else of the bent stuff in the army. Yes.
Right. And I think if we get something that is a strong focus on those, we could get a good other option for playing Seraphon that's at least a different playstyle.
So you mean focus on like the Saurus and the Saurus Lord on Carnosaur, like that stuff in the army, right?
Exactly.
Okay. More of the sort of pure primal hunter aspect of it. That kind of thing is what you want to see. Okay.
Yeah. Not even skinks. Like I'm talking
just absolutely. Skinks need zero help. They're good. They're super good. We all agree with that. All right. Tommy, what do you got? If you don't,
Um.
okay, I guess I say I definitely know what my next one is.
Okay, go ahead and do your next one.
Okay, it's Beast of Chaos. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna rewrite the Bulgor scroll. We're gonna rewrite the Dragon Ogre scroll. Okay, and we're going to put in battalion and or sub factions that make gore have some kind of value in the army.
Yeah.
Okay. And ways to get to make the Bulgor and Dragon Ogres playably interesting, right? In fun battalions. This would be, and you could do that in a couple ways. So we could do it through either pure scroll rewrites, a la IDK,
Yeah.
or we could do it through snake focus, like we're getting in Doc, right? Where there's lots of ways to like ramp up the attacks or the rend or the move speed or the damage of these guys, right? They have these deficiencies, and it doesn't need to be like, I didn't see anything in all the snake spoiled stuff that improves their defense for the most part.
Right.
And snakes are expensive and little glass cannons. They're like 2 wound, 5 up save dum dums.
Right.
Right.
I mean, they can get the normal +1, but yeah.
Sure. So they can be the same as witch elves, yay.
Yep.
So my point is that like I don't want to see suddenly get tanky of these versions, but if we had ways to like up their speed, up their damage, up their rend, whatever, right? Some kind of faction thing where the herdstone doubles its range. Right? So instead of starting at like 6, then going 12, 18, it starts at 12 and goes like 24, yep. 36 or something crazy,
Yep.
It could be that easy to like give the army a major boost, right? If you do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right. You could do like they've done in a couple of the White Dwarf articles with the Gits and make it useful to things. Make because now the big stone for Gits can actually work with Trogs, can work with Squigs, right? So you make the herdstone work better with what it's doing for these guys. So, yeah, that's my argument. There's 3 different ways they could go to fix BOC. Just pick one of them, please. That would be great. Thank you and please. So there you go.
So can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to suggest, like, I've already kind of trotted this out a little bit, but I want to flesh it out some more.
Okay.
I think that we're going to get I think that we are going to get the Water Nation. And I was flipping through the LRL book to see if I could actually find the name of the Water Nation, see where it's mentioned. In the midst of the great nations. It'll be represented by it'll have a full rewrite, I'm guessing, of the like a great nations write-up, right? And the associated unit will be a Swordmaster-esque kit. That will be able to be like a stance dancer. And so that they will probably rotate through stances or do something like that. In a way that like we got glimpses of with some of the stone guys. But most of them, they would like just hold a stance, right? And I think that you'll get more of a fluid movement between stances with the Water Nation. But I don't think that we will get a big like golem or big water spirit or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think it'll just be the foot unit.
That's fine. I've got a little left turn question for you guys. We went through all of this, and I left this out of the news because I completely forgot it happened, but I just was reminded of it. On Halloween, we got a little spoiler image of a weird skeletal tree-like thing scaring Johann. It was in
the tentacle zombie.
Sure. Yes. A weird stick tentacle zombie. What is that, and how does it figure into any of what we've talked about?
I mean, I think something associated with vampirates. It just kind of feels like it goes with that.
Sure.
Yep.
that's fitting into our death range and releasing
I think
along
it's
with
a Juju zombie.
our book 2 or 3 or 4 depending on where it falls, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that vampires may not be very piratey and more of just vampire-y. And we may just get a classic relaunch of zombies or some modified zombie kit.
Sure.
This
cool.
one has like crap on him that he is, like when he was crawling out of the ground, he has like a wood, like a stump or like a gravestone or whatever that a bird's perched on that he's just like shambled out with.
Sure.
Or it could be, again, the corrupted, mutated, like misshapen, monstrous undead, right? We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Amongst the pirates, and we just have some remnants of that in the it's a Juju zombie, it's a waterlogged zombie, so it has octopus tentacles.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
So let's do one more round of the what we need to see fixed. Okay. So, Paul, what's your hope for what else gets touched in these books? What else do we need to see?
I cannot let this go without being completely self-serving and say I would love to see Nurgle get retouched, specifically getting the 3 Magath Lords involved in whatever Nurgle's plot going on is here, and get new War Scrolls for those 3 guys.
Wow. Going for trying to get the Magath Lords.
Imagine a box that was just 3 Magath Lords. They won't do that, but
Imagine a battalion that was all 3 Magath Lords.
All right. Okay. All right. If we're gonna do a Nurgle thing, if there's something we're gonna touch, I completely agree with you. Those sculpts are so cool. They're still around. They're still relatively new. Those guys came out in like 2015. How are they? Yeah, exactly. How are they this useless? And have been for basically all of their existence. It's really unfortunate. Yeah. Okay.
And I think they're not totally useless. They're just outshined by other stuff that Nurgle has.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, Tom, what do you got?
We're going to get a revisited Night Haunt. We're going to get some degree of allegiance, like allegiance subfactions or something like that, like Legions of the Damned, or
what do
something
you want
like that.
out of it?
I want some differentiation between Night Haunt forces.
Okay.
And maybe they end up mirroring, rather than mirroring the traditional Night Haunt forces that we've seen, or the traditional like temple structures. Maybe they end up mirroring a little bit closer to Nagash's hierarchical structures from Legion of the Nagash.
Okay.
And so maybe one force is under Reichnor, one is under Olander, and one is under the King, the Craven King.
Okay. All right.
And we're gonna get a rewritten War Scroll for the Black Coach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's where we get our Black Coach can have the hero keyword. You get 2 versions of it. It's the new Steam Tank. We get the rewritten War Scroll. I'm with that 100%. Biggest miss of that release was not having 2 versions of the coach, a with and without hero, just like we have for the Stegodon, just like we have for the Steam Tank. We've shown that we can do this. Do this with the Black Coach. 3, 2, 1, do it. Okay, fantastic. No, Night Haunt's a great call. Because I think if you assume there's some kind of new Vampirates thing happening that largely touches, a lot of dead stuff, then we've touched most of the solid dead.
Right.
In some way, right? I mean, I look at an army like FEC and I'm like, well, what do they really need? Sure, they'll get something in one of these books, right? They'll have a little fun part they play in it.
Right.
And they'll get like a battalion or something. Right, where they get a new fun couple narrative battalions or whatever, and it'll focus on probably crypt horrors and ghouls, right,
Sure.
and do a fun thing there.
Yep.
Yay, great, but that's not that army's relatively fine, right?
Right.
Okay. Can I say what I will here? Can I give you my final one?
Yes.
It's the Sons of Behemoth. That's right, baby. That book just came out, and we need help. We need help. Okay, that book needs some touch. It needs some good touch. Doesn't have to be till like book 5. That's fine. But yeah, I want to see the Giants get a focus in there. Like, joking aside, the Giant book is so underwhelming with its options. No battalions, no allies, very limited army construction. You know, just like everything is super limited. Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be so easy to add something to that army. Anything. You have literally all the options open, right? That you could add additional stuff to that army.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it would make me feel so much better. And by the way, my argument is not, oh, the book is weak, hence they'll need to do this. It's too late for that, because all these books are already in some form of either development or being printed or on boats, right? My argument is they designed the original the book knowing that they were going to touch it in there and said, okay, we're going to take some of this and make sure we just put it here, right?
Yeah.
And that's where some of their options are going to live. No, we have not mentioned Kurnothi yet. I mean, I want there to be Kurnothi, but I haven't really seen any strong evidence of Kurnothi anywhere, but who knows? So I do think the Giants would be one to get in there because, again, you could give them battalions. You could give them new sub-factions where you're not locked to one specific Mega Gargant that then sucks for all the other Gargants the fun out of it or whatever, right? There's all sorts of interesting challenges with that book. So it would be so easy to do new sub-factions, to do new battalions, to do something like that. So there you go. Now, couple honorable mentions that I'll throw out here just in case you guys want to do any as well. Okay. I would love to see if we do get new stuff. I think that you could do some fun things with the ogres in here, especially focusing on the non-BCR side of the house.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
With some interesting new battalions and tribal type of things of them, especially focused around like man-eaters or fire-bellies or iron guts or whatever, right? Kind of items that were the pieces that weren't greatly touched in the first book are all really cool and could be easily used and put into little boxes, right?
Sure.
Put it because I'm also thinking like, what am I going to stick into a box that's going to sell,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that would be a really fun one, I think. I think you could do the same with, I mean, like we've touched Gits so much, but you could have the Spider Gits show up in one of these books and give the Spider Gits a treatment, right? So they get a whole Spider Gits, either, you know, range of battalions or options or something like that, or boosts or a few War Scroll rewrites or whatever. So that's your Ragnaroks and all your little Spider Cav and all of that. That would be an easy touch in my mind for sure. And then the only other one that I think would be actually pretty fun to show up at some point would be Caradron Overlords. And I think it would be cool to give them some different battalions because right now that army plays so on rails with like one of two different battalions is what you see in every list. Okay, because it's just the way to build the army. And there could be a lot of other angles you take on the battalions that they have.
It'd be great. I'd love other battalions.
Right. So, and I mean, look, most books only have about 3. Don't complain, Tom. I just talked about how my army book had 0, so shut your face. I would kill for it to have 1 of 2 battalions to take.
Sure.
But my point is that it is a book screaming for easily having more. Right? Because you could see like Sky Warden focused battalions with maybe some like a Marine focused battalion or whatever, right? That does a bunch of cool stuff with them, makes them very viable in a different play style, opens up some new ways to go about it. So those are kind of the other honorable mentions that occurred to me. Paul, you got any other honorable mentions you want to shout out, or even any like minor things you'd want to see?
I think there's a minor trend that we see in what they've released already with the Chaos Chariot and with the Sorceress on Black Dragon.
Yeah.
That they're both alternate sculpts or alternate builds of heroes that were already in the box
Yep.
that were from prior editions that just kind of got left off.
Sure.
And not being extremely well versed in all of the model ranges, I can't say necessarily where all of those exist, but I think those are probably good opportunities for them to bring back some of those alternate sculpts that are in the box that aren't really being utilized to create a special character. The one that I can really think of is the Free Guild General on Griffin. Still has the Karl Franz build in there and isn't being used for anything, so they could easily make a new named Free Guild General on Griffin.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree. And by the way, I think you already hit on one of those that's underused, and that's the Magath Lords, right? Who are all sort of named special characters that are underused. So yeah, 100%. I could see a box with them and with like one of those things and a couple small Nurgle units, right? And that would be like a slam dunk box for them. Because I think part of what they want to do with these Star Collectings is, here's some models that we aren't really selling. We've got a lot of sitting in stock. Let's get them out there at a good price and make some rules that people will have fun with them. Right, because it's not like everything we're going to see is probably going to be the most competitive stuff, but it gives people a reason, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with that. I think that's a really good shout out, Paul. I agree, because there are some kits like that where they can explore. I mean, I think, by the way, the aforementioned Black Coach fits into that same box.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Because you can do it like, you can change the scroll itself and introduce the special character version of it all at one time.
Yep.
Right? You can kind of hit both. You can double dip there so easily. Yeah, Brian S says, "Is that what these boxes are?" Gasp! Yeah, indeed. I know I'm really hot taking the internet here with that one. Yeah. Tommy, anything else you wanna hit up?
No, I'm excited to see what, like, they have a new lease.
Yeah.
On all the books.
Yep.
Everything was on the table. What did they choose to actually tweak and adjust? And so I'm really, really anxious to see what they decided to do and how they decided to do it. So, for example, we talked about the hero the hero version of the chariot. That war scroll is not in the book.
Right.
So they actually achieved that effect a different way mechanically.
Sure.
And so I'm interested to see how they play with that.
Yeah. I agree. And I think the most important thing to I joked and said it's the book I'm most excited for in the last 3 weeks. But, joking aside, this is beyond exciting to see these kinds of narrative moves. Yep. Looking at this and what we're already seeing, it feels a lot more malign sorcery than forbidden power. Let me just say that, as far as like the size of the shift in the narrative, right? Which makes sense. Malign sorcery was effectively the lead up to second edition, right? And we all think, I think at this point, our odds are all still agreeing. Like the odds makers would all still say 3.0 comes on the backside of this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, please, when you do 3.0, change like 2 rules at most, and then put out a new starter box, and let's call that 3.0. So it feels more like 2.5.
Yeah, or give us something like command points that we didn't know we wanted.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't have to. So all these books are still useful. My nightmare situation is and continues to be that these books, come July, if they do a new edition changeover, become highly suspect in their longevity, right?
Yep.
I don't want back on the Battle Tome treadmill. We're not 40K. Don't do that to us. Okay.
Oh, they're totally going to do that to us. You know that, right?
I don't think so. I honestly don't. I really don't, because I think this game does not behoove as much changes as 40K did. Because 40K went from their first edition after a relaunch, after a very massive change, to their second, right? It required a lot of changes. Yep. This doesn't. I think most people agree that the game is in a relatively good place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our survey said as much. When we looked back at the survey, the overall, like, there were things that people wanted done, i.e. War Scroll changes. Hey, look at that. We're getting them, right? But
Yeah.
even with all those changes, people still said, like, is the game in a good place? And the overwhelming majority opinion was yes. Right?
Yeah.
So, to me, this is going to go a long way to correcting a lot of the things people pointed to in the challenges in the survey.
Yep.
So they won't have that much more ground to cover, right?
Yeah.
Having
Yep.
having a slight relaunch, maybe cleaning up a couple different things, rules wise, very simple, and launching a new starter box is a great way to keep the hype train rolling and keep people being able to easily get into the hobby.
Sure.
Right?
Totally.
Absolutely.
And if those books that I have just remain evergreen until, sure, are we eventually going to get new books? Yeah, of course, man. That's the world. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. I just don't want to be on the 3-year cycle. I want to
Sure.
be on like a 5-year cycle, right? With other stuff in between.
Yeah. Supplements are fine. Like,
Right.
I would love for this to just be more of like Wrath of the Everchosen.
Yep.
Like, just supplemental stuff. It's optional. You don't need it. It can enrich your game experience, but it doesn't necessarily become a thing that's required.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. So, yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, folks. Well, that's it. If we didn't mention something that you think, feel free to, of course, drop your predictions, to make your own predictions down in the comments. Don't forget, the merch store is now active. If you were one of the people interested in that, I'm not like pushing it that hard. If you're interested, that's fine. If you're not, that's also fine. But it's down there. It's active. I'll mention it every so often from show to show. But do not forget to subscribe if you aren't already. Most of you are. I know, because there's a little analytics thing I can look at. So thank you all. But do hit like. Give this episode a like, especially since this is full of all of our hot take predictions. I want people to be able to find the show and to give their own predictions. I hope this was fun for everybody. Paul, thanks, man. When I knew we were going to do the show, there wasn't anybody else I wanted to be on here. I knew it was going to be a good time with you, brother, as always.
Thank you for having me, as always.
And you can just plan ahead now, Paul, for whenever we get you back on. That will be the Skaven show. So we're going to just figure it's going to happen.
Done.
I know you have a love of the rats as well, so that'll be an easy win right there.
I do. Yeah.
There we go. All right, for all of you out there, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button. But as always, we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye, everybody.